I was 7 the day my stepmother pressed a greasy scrap of bread into my hand and told me to finish it, sitting on the tile next to the trash can, because I didn't deserve a chair, the air thick with coffee grounds and orange peels and something that felt like shame in my throat. I whispered, I won't eat anymore, my stomach turning, my eyes burning, and then the front door opened. My dad stepped in, early, saw me on the floor, saw the bread, saw her calm smile, and the world tilted. He asked one word, "What?" And Sloane moved like a nurse in a commercial, soft voice, perfect posture, saying she found me like that, saying I sneak trash, saying I'm not well, and I just sat there with my mouth open, and no sound came out, because grief makes you slow. And I had been slow since my mom died. You know what I mean? We lived outside Austin, where pecan shells crack like rain under your shoes. Dad had sold his software company, but still carried himself like the deal might fall apart. Love and presence are cousins, not twins. He loved me hard, but he wasn't home much, and when Sloane floated into our lives in a dove-gray dress at a fundraiser, with a laugh that touched his sleeve and eyes that skipped over me like I was furniture, I wanted a mother so badly I ignored the way her kindness had rules. If I cried, I was dramatic. If I stayed quiet, I was ungrateful. If I ate slowly, I was picky. If I said I was full, I was lying. She said, "I'm your mother now. Mothers fix things," and somehow every fix made me smaller. That night, after the trash bin scene, Dad crouched and asked what happened. My mouth opened and closed like a fish. Sloane stroked my hair and told him I was embarrassed. Then at dinner, she set a perfect square of salmon in my bowl and said, "Eat, sweetheart, you're so thin." While Rosa the housekeeper slid me a bowl of arroz caldo and whispered, "1 spoon for strength," and I wanted that spoon so bad. But Sloane's heel was pointed at me under the table like a warning, so I said I wasn't hungry. Dad gave me the smile that says, "Please don't make tonight hard," and I went upstairs and wrote in my blue notebook, "Today she made me eat the trash if I disappear. I want someone to find the truth." Pushed it under my pillow, stared at the ceiling fan, ticking time. The next night, Sloane told me to stand under the porch light and not move the concrete cold through my socks. Her phone clicking like a metronome for pity. And when my teeth chattered, she leaned close and said, "If you tell your father, I'll show him these and say you love the drama of being hurt." Then the morning came, eggs on a plate. Her phone slid across the table to my dad. I found her outside again. She needs help, and that word followed us like a shadow, because help can be a door or a cage depending on who holds the key. At another fundraiser full of second chances for strangers, Sloane introduced her friend as Dr. Vale, clinical calm, neat stack of papers, early intervention, observable patterns, and somebody set a clipboard on a table, a pen, found my father's hand. People watched, murmured, waited. I wrapped both arms around his leg and said, "Dad, please don't sign. I'm not crazy, I'm scared." He looked at me, then at the room, then at Sloane's wet eyelashes, then at Dr. Vale's papers, then at me again. And he signed the pen, dragging across the line like it weighed a pound. And yeah, that happened. The sound that came out of me felt like a door slamming somewhere I couldn't reach. That was my midpoint. The twist you don't see coming, even when you do, the moment when the floor drops and you learn what you're made of. That night, I slid a tiny camera under my bed and pointed it at the door, because if truth has bones, they are made of evidence 3 days later. Rosa found the red light blinking. While she changed sheets, she pressed play and heard Sloane's voice like sugar with knives in it. "You are nothing but a problem. I made everyone believe you're unstable. Your father already signed, soon you'll be gone." And then my voice, small but whole, "I don't want to go anywhere, I want to stay with my dad." And Rosa copied the file to a USB and put it on my dad's desk like she was placing a heart back where it belonged. I wasn't in the room when he watched, but I heard the chair scrape, heard a soft word he never used around me, and later he sat on my bed and stared at his hands and whispered, "I'm sorry," the first real thing either of us had said. In months, then in the morning, he met a lawyer named Jordan Hale Kind. Eyes, voice that didn't blink. She watched the video twice, called a lab, called the courthouse, and things moved fast and slow at the same time like a marathon through mud. Miguel, our driver, came forward, hat twisting in his hands, saying he had seen things that fear had paid his bills, that he was done renting space to it. Mrs. Green at school wrote a report. Bruises, withdrawal, flinches the way a kid holds her breath when adults raise their voices. And she wrote, "Not mental illness trauma," which is a sentence that sounds simple until you live it. The first hearing felt like a stage play, cameras breathing keyboards, clicking, the room so quiet you could hear the air think. Jordan lifted the USB and asked the judge to dim the lights. The video played, Sloane's mask flickered. Words hit the air and stayed there. Sloane jumped up and said, "It's edited, the child." Set me up, Carver. Her lawyer talked about chain of custody and deepfakes like he was auditioning for a tech panel. But Jordan didn't even look at him when she answered. She had hash values, a forensic report, timestamps that matched the house like fingerprints. Then she slid another folder across the table. 2 medical files. One doctor. Vale's famous diagnosis, the other from the state board. With no such thing, different seal, different signature. And when Jordan asked about the license, Vale said it was being renewed. Jordan noted the clinic had been shut down for violations 3 years ago. The murmur in that room felt like a storm, deciding where to land. And my father stood up and did the hardest thing a proud man can do, he said. He was wrong. He said grief and pressure made him deaf to his daughter. He said, "I will never let anyone hurt her again," and the judge adjourned for a full investigation, while reporters pressed closer, and the gavel sounded less like a hammer and more like a breath. Between hearings, my dad changed the part of the story that only we would see. He handed day-to-day control of his company to his partner, turned off his phone at dinner, burned the admission form in the grill, and watched it curl to ash. We tried cooking together, and he made a soup that tasted like the ocean, got mad at a vegetable, and when I told him, he laughed so hard, he had to sit down. We planted a live oak in the backyard for my mom, and I poured water. Like a promise, we practiced living in a house where the porch light meant welcome instead of punishment. The final hearing came and the hallway flashed with cameras. Judge Whitaker called witnesses. Miguel told the truth. He should have told sooner, and cried once without apologizing. Miss Green read her report and then put it down and looked at me saying, "You are not what they called you." Jordan laid out the forgeries like dominoes that politely fell in the direction of the law. Carver tried one last swing. Bias, staging, misinterpretation. And Jordan just raised an eyebrow and said, "Or this is what abuse looks like in a nice kitchen." The room inhaled together, and then the ruling landed. Sloane guilty of child abuse and deceiving the court. Carver referred to the Bar Association. Dr. Vale charged with fraud custody to be reconsidered with my safety first. And the gavel clicked like a lock opening from the inside. After that, the house felt taller. Light came in like we had finally opened the shades. Dad started walking me into school with coffee. He didn't drink because his hands were busy holding my backpack, and my hand, Mrs. Green, told me my eyes had changed, and I believed her. Rosa kept cooking too much and sliding an extra empanada on my plate. Like an inside joke, healing wasn't a staircase, it was a field, and we learned where not to step by stepping there once, then twice, then finally, not again. Here's the part that might start an argument. People still stopped my dad at the store to say they read everything online. One neighbor couldn't believe a kid would set up a camera as if children can't be brave when no one is looking. Someone else asked if Sloane was a monster from the start, or if grief made her cruel, and I didn't answer, because I was tired of explaining how men's signatures and women's smiles can both be used like weapons. Sloane filed an appeal because of course she did, her new lawyer. Says the video violates privacy. Jordan says the truth doesn't become a lie because it embarrasses you. The appeal will move the way appeals move slow as a train after midnight. And maybe you want a bow on this. I do too, but I've learned justice isn't only a verdict, it's a practice, it's how a father answers. The second time his daughter says, "I'm scared," it's a kitchen where no one earns dinner. It's a porch where the light is an invitation, not a threat. Some nights my dad talks to the live oak and calls it talking to my mom. I say the tree's taller, he says I'm smiling more, and we're both right. If you're waiting on a clean moral take, the kind of help that makes you smaller, is not help. The kind of love that asks you to disappear is not love. Believe the quiet kid, believe the housekeeper who knows which drawer sticks, believe the driver who finally chooses courage over a paycheck. And if you're the parent who signed something you regret because the room pressed down and experts sounded confident, forgive yourself faster than the internet forgives anyone, and do the next right thing in front of your child again and again until their body stops bracing. When you walk into a room, you know what I mean? Now tell me what you see here. Did the system get it right? Or did we just get lucky with the right judge on the right day? Should a hidden camera be fair game when it exposes abuse? Have you watched people choose a polished lie over a messy truth? Drop your take in the comments. Tell me what you've lived through and what you'd do different, and if this hit home, share it with someone who might still be standing under a porch light, waiting for a door to open.